I went for the head fake. Dang it. I totally bought it. This is Kelly Nash. Donald Trump head faked me last week as I went off the air on Friday. I basically said I didn't think much was going to happen over the weekend. Oh, I don't think I could have been any more wrong, but it was the right call. Now, today, what is the fallout going to look like? What is going to happen over the next 24, 48 hours, the next week, the next month? Again, all we can do is make predictions based on past performance. And we will look at the military possibilities, including sleeper cells inside the United States, in the next segment. In the first segment, I want to talk about the political implications because literally before Donald Trump even got to the podium at 10 o'clock on Saturday night to tell you what had happened, there were calls for his impeachment from numerous Democrat congressional leaders. So I just want to remind them, many of whom were in office when Barack Obama was the president, that just go ahead and Google the words Obama airstrikes without congressional approval. And you'll see Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, Mali, Niger, and the list goes on and on and on. I went back to 2016 and found this PBS NewsHour report where the Obama administration had put out a report just as they were wrapping up their time in power. And the PBS News folks were absolutely shocked at the level of airstrikes.
Today's release is the first time the White House has said how many terrorists and innocent civilians it believes have been killed by airstrikes, including by drones. Between 2009 and 2015, the administration says it launched 473 airstrikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and Africa. It estimates that as many as 2,581 combatants and as many as 116 non-combatants were killed. Now, these numbers don't include airstrikes in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Syria, what the administration calls areas of active hostilities.
In other words, there was a lot more airstrikes that they didn't really tell you about because they figured you don't really need to know about those. But anyway, we're around 500 airstrikes. And at no point do I really remember a serious move for an impeachment over Obama. The last time I remember an impeachment, I guess around an airstrike, although it wasn't specifically about the airstrike, it was more about the timing of the airstrike, was William Jefferson Clinton. Oh, poor Bill. He had himself in a little bit of a problem there. And he struck Iraq. And he did that literally an hour before the Congress was to start meeting about impeaching him over the Monica Lewinsky cover-up. And this was Merrill Cook, Republican Utah, on the floor at that time.
I don't think it's coincidental that the bombs began falling on Iraq only a short hour before caucuses were convening here in Washington to discuss the impeachment vote. I understand those that believe the public, Congress, the judiciary, and now even the military may have been manipulated. But while the timing may be offensive, the action is absolutely necessary.
So he's saying we're going to continue with the impeachment vote, but it's not because of this. As a matter of fact, we applaud the president for doing the right thing. When you see danger against the homeland or our allies, you take action swiftly. Dick Gephardt, who, if you don't remember him, actually ran for president at one point, was a huge voice on the left and is now a huge lobbyist on the left. Dick Gephardt at that time had this to say.
We must send a strong message, the strongest possible message, to Saddam Hussein that domestic politics will never, ever affect our resolve.
I actually agree with Dick Gephardt. Because we have problems on the homeland doesn't mean that we're going to go ahead and just put our head in the sand when it comes to threats to us. And again, now the question becomes, was Iran actually a threat to the United States? Because that's kind of like the fine line that people are trying to, it was really a Middle Eastern thing. It had nothing really to do with us. And I've mentioned many times that they were saying death to America. And I've seen numerous leftists get on microphones and say, but they didn't mean it. They didn't really mean that. And they weren't a legit threat because they didn't actually have the ability to get it to America. Maybe it could have hit some of our bases over there, but it wouldn't have never got to America. Okay. Did you also know that they had hypersonic missiles? I don't know that you knew that because they did use them because nobody knew that they had them. How's that? Nobody knew that they had the hypersonic missiles till they started whacking the hospitals in Israel. And only 2 countries on earth are supposed to have that technology, and that was us. And unless Joe Biden gave them that technology, which again is not off the table, then it came from China. So China partnering with them to do bad things. Could they have hit the homeland with a nuclear weapon had they had the nuclear weapon? Yeah, they could. But to your smaller point, what if they hit one of our military bases? That's a pretty flippin' big deal as well. And also, let's just go ahead and look at this is not like Colin Powell's telling you this. This is not the UK intelligence agency. This is the International Atomic Energy Agency. And this is all they do is study where are nations with uranium enrichment and where are their nuclear facilities and all that. And most of it has to do with energy, but they get red flags when they start seeing uranium getting enriched to certain levels. I'm reading to you for a brief snippet from their report. IEA is now reporting, this is again, May 17th this year. So we're talking just over a month ago. Iran has now amassed 408.6 kilograms of this enriched material. The uranium enriched to 60% is considered near weapons grade and is a short technical step away from the 90% enrichment required for a nuclear weapon. They're the only other nation on Earth, other than nuclear powers, that were at 60% or higher. Why were they doing that? Of course, all the nations should be concerned. All the nations have been saying for 25, 30 years, you cannot have a nuclear weapon in Iran because Iran is not just a threat to other nations in the Middle East, because if they hit Israel, that's going to have obviously impacts on Jordan and other places around there. They are a threat to the entire world because not only have they sworn to wipe Israel off the map, they also want to kill all of Americans. They also want to kill the United Kingdom, but they also want to kill Muslims. All right? I don't know if that's breaking news to you or not. If you listen to the show, it's not. But, you know, when you talk about being a Muslim, there's 2 different kinds, really. It's like being a Christian. There's a Catholic, and then there's the Protestant version of it. Now, obviously, the Protestants have all kinds of different denominations. But, again, those are the 2 basic forms of Christianity. And the same is true with being a Muslim. You can be Shia or you can be Sunni. In Iran, they hate the Sunnis. They hate the Sunnis. And wherever the Sunnis are, they want them dead. This would be the same as if, the Catholics declared war on the Protestants, or, we'll go because there's more Protestants than Catholics. We'll say, okay, the Protestants said they're going to kill all the Catholics. We're not just going to hit the Vatican. We're going to go and get them in Brazil. We're going to get them in Mexico. We're going to get them in America. We're going to get them in Canada. We're going to go all over the world, and we're going to kill all the Catholics. And by the way, that's not an unusual thing. I mean, we've been seeing that play out in Northern Ireland for quite a while. The Catholics and the Protestants have been at war. But now, instead of just using bullets and things of that nature, knives, throw in some nuclear weapons. That's what we're talking about here. That's why they're a threat, not just to America. They're a threat this is according to the report from the International Atomic Energy Agency. They declared Iran a threat to the world. And unless something's changed, we're still in the world. So they were a threat to us, and they needed to have that happen to them on Saturday night. Now, what is it going to mean moving forward? We're going to talk about sleeper cells. We're going to talk about blocking, shipping lanes and all that sort of stuff next.